talking about the parallel processing last class. The parallel processing, we have built the decision table, and also we have built the service body. But what we have seen that the service body was not calling. So what I will do, I did not get some time to investigate to debug the particular body. So what I will do, I will try to fix it, and I will make a recording of the parallel processing, the complete cycle execution, and I will send you across. So you need not to wait for any certain class. So the entire cycle I will explain in the video, and then that video I will send it out. Okay, so you will again, I will explain the rule-based workflow service body, and also I will explain where was the problem, where we stuck for. So the entire video I will send, the entire executions. Okay. Now, coming to the value mapping and key mapping. So first, let's start with the value mapping. So I would like to start with few documentations. There are few valuable documentations available related to the value mapping and key mapping. So first of all, what is value mapping? So let's say we have a multiple systems which is connected with each other. Like if I see hub concept, MDG hub concept, what we see in MDG hub. So for an example, this is MDG hub, and we have some source system and we have some target system. Okay, and there can be possible one or more than one source system. So the source system can be SAP system or non-SAP system, where primarily my data is coming to MDG, and after the processing, finally data is going to the target system. Again, the target system can be SAP or non-SAP system. This is the entire hub concept. Now, there can be possibility that when we are communicating with multiple systems, there can be a possibility that, let's say for an example, I have some product which is product 1. In MDG, the way I define the product 1, or based on some certain value, let's say the code for the product 1 is 001. We call it as a code. Okay. Similarly, the same product 1 may have a different code in other system. Let's say code 003. That means the same product which is present in MDG and target system, but when both of the system communicate, there might be a high chances where the systems will unable to understand what is this product, because here the denomination of this particular product is 001, and here it is 003, which we call it as a code, the code value. Okay, the code value for product. Similarly, we have another product which is product 2, where the code value is, let's say, 002. Same product we have in this system where it has 001. Similarly, let's say product 3 and it is 003, and here product 3 it is 002. That means same product which is present in M and also in target system, but they have a different code. So if I will not assign the code properly, then when the data replication will happen from MDG to target, similarly the same thing can be with the source system. Okay, so similarly that when the data will initially move from source to MDG, the data upload, that time also there will be a problem to identification of the data. That is nothing but the value mapping. That means I have some object which value may unmatch with the I am communicating multiple systems. So I have to make a certain mapping respect to those object value. What is this object? Here product is an object and it has some certain value. So those value needs to be mapped across the systems. That is nothing but value mapping. When the mapping is happening respect to some certain object across the system, that is nothing but the value mapping. So that means the value mapping can be possible during the file upload and file download, both of the scenario, for file upload and file download. What does it means? What exactly I'm trying to mean for file upload and file download? I mean to say that when from source to MDG, let's say I'm considering it is a hub approach, because when I consider the hub approach, for me to explain the scenario is more easy. So let's say in the hub approach, when I'm moving the data, when the data is moving from source to MDG, it is just nothing but a file upload respect to MDG system. It's a file upload respect to MDG system. Something has been loaded in MDG. That is nothing but the initial load. For an example, that is file upload. When source to MDG, the data gets loaded. But when the MDG replicate the data to target, that is nothing but like a file download. So this is the terminology which we use. It is not like file upload or download which we talked about earlier. What I'm trying to say here, file upload means when source to MDG, the data moves. And download means when MDG to target, the data moves. That is nothing but the file upload or file download we denote it as. Anyway, so ultimately, I'm trying to do the mapping, doing the initial load and the replication, both of the scenarios. That is nothing but the value mapping. Now I will go to this this particular documentation. What it says: when the MDG hub sends a message that contains company from address. So company is one certain detail in the address level. The system converts the internal code defined for the MDG hub 004. This one. So company is a part of address. I can see this is one system. This one value in message. This border is nothing but one system. And this is another system which is MDG hub. So this is, let's say, this one is my source system. This one where I'm moving the cursor at this moment. Let's say this is the source system. And this is the MDG system. So from source to MDG, the data moves. So what are those value we have? We have like Miss, Mr. and company. These three items we have. And we have some things to these three objects or these three details. That is 0001, 0002, 0003. This respect to this particular system. The same details which we have in MDG system, but the numbering are different. Here in company, it is 0003, it is 0004. So when the data replication happen from source to MDG, definitely that there will be a clash of data because system will unable to understand what is this particular data, because this data having a different code and this data having a different code. But ultimately they both are the same data. So that means we need a kind of a mapping which will identify that piece of data. Okay. Similarly, so this is the outbound processing to MDG hub. And same way inbound process, like either way you take. That's what I said, source to MDG or MDG to target. Both of the scenarios can be applicable for value mapping. Okay. Now, come to the value mapping part. So this is nothing but the value mapping where my some object value is getting mapped. Now, so this is the document which is a very good document for value mapping. See here. So what I have to do, first I will take one scenario, the scenario which has been spoke about SAP. So here in this scenario, the code value for, let's say, this is one MDG hub and this is one another system, one source system or target system, whatever you call, whether it is source or target, any other system. That means, see, you can use value mapping to map the system internal code values that represent possible entries for a customizing element to the code values of a named external list. The external list can be the global code list or a system specific code list. This is the external list. That means it can be a source system or target system. So it can, this list is respect to the system specific, or it is a global number, for an example. And this is the one which is related to the MDG. These values are related to the MDG. What I have few objects like Mr., Miss, company, Mr. and Miss. These 4 objects I have. Let's say 4 attribute I have. And those attribute values are nothing but in respect to MDG hub, we have 001, 2, 3, and 4. But at the same time, for those attributes, we have some different value in the external system. So external system is nothing but, it can be source system or target system. And the code it is maintaining here, it is either can be a system specific code which is respect to external system, or it can be a global code. But one thing, the bottom line of the story is this code is different than this code. MDG hub code is different than the external system code. So now how we will address this? So the table below shows a use case in which from the address customizing element uses on the set of codes in the master data governance hub and a different sets code in the external code list. So value mapping is an alternative to synchronizing the customizing entries and their corresponding master data across the systems. So how to do that? So now we will do the mapping of those values. So first what we will do, we will go to, so first I'm starting with the value mapping. I'm starting with value mapping. So here, step number 1. In step number 1, we have to call the transaction SPRO. This is the transaction which we need to call. Go to the transaction SPRO. Okay, here, so if you go to this document, here is the one. In page number 13, if you go by the document, the document is having some not in a proper arranging way. So I'm telling you in a proper arranged way that what exactly the step should be. So first you need to go to the SPRO settings. In SPRO, what will be there? So these are all values are nothing but the academic titles. Respect to this case which I'm doing here, that is nothing but this one. Mr., Miss, company, Mr. and Miss, these are all nothing but the address list. Similarly, you will have some product value. So that is nothing but some address or some product details or some material details, etc. So first, what we need to do, we should have those details in SPRO settings. So in SPRO, you know, we can maintain the material details, supplier detail, customer details, everything, or any kind of like this kind of address details, etc. So what is the navigation here? SAP NetWeaver, application server, basic services, address management. Same way I will go. So here SAP NetWeaver and then application server, and the basic services, and the address management, and here forms of address, and maintain academic table, academic titles. Here it is. So in SPRO setting, we have some certain entry. These are all certain entry which is already present. Okay. These are all functional entries which you need not to do anything. That means respect to this particular system, respect to this academic details, these are all values. Similarly, some other system which is like a source system or target system, they will have the same academic title but maybe different values. Now the challenge is how you map this particular value with the target system or the source system academic values. So this is your values which you have already, it is assigned in this system. Okay, so I will utilize those academic values now. So first is go to SPRO and check or define, whether you can check or you can define some new values. Define the object values. Okay, so here is my object is nothing but the academic address detail or academic title. Now the second step is, this is the one. Then I will go to Mdg IMG. Second step, the transaction is Mdg IMG, and that is to maintain value mapping. I'll open one new screen. Mdg IMG, general settings and value mapping. This is the one. And here we have to click on maintain value mapping. Maintain value mapping. So here, when you enter this maintain value mapping, respect to customer, vendor, finance, some custom details, we have lot of object type respect to different global data. So these are all nothing but the object types. Okay, and these are all global data. So the global data can be like related to the finance, related to the material, related to the customer. So whatever you are using, let's say I said product is a part of custom material data. So if I have any certain material data that I can do, so whatever the kind of data, it has various kind of details across the different type of domain line. So what we need to do, we need to identify which global data it is required for my requirement. So what is my requirement here? My requirement is I'm trying to define some academic title. So is there any global data related to the academic title? That we need to figure it out. Similarly, if I am using the material, then I have to figure it out. What are those material related informations we have, whether this particular global data is required for me or not. So let's see here. Here it is. Now Mdg underscore fnd underscore academic underscore title underscore code. So I found one global data which is related to the academic title. Okay, so that means this particular global data I can utilize. How I can utilize? So next is There is one symbol next to this description. This is called navigations. Navigations for what? Navigations for mapping. So when you click here, it will bring you this particular page, and this is your global data type. As I'm using the academic title, so this is the global type related to the academic title. If I am using the material manufacture part number, then it will be related to the manufacture part number. Let's say I'm using some customer product details, so then it will be customer product details. Like this, we will have a various kind of global data. So the prime job will be here to identify which global data I have to use. That you have to identify. Okay, that is the piece of work you have to find out. Now, then what next? Then we have to create the mapping. Click on edit and mapping ID. So here, the way it has been shown here, the same way I will try to maintain the data. So the mapping ID, let's say 01, list agency ID. So some ID you need to define, nothing more than that. ZMDG value mapping, for an example. Similarly, list ID. One second. Okay. So you have to select from this list. MDG underscore agency. MDG underscore global. MDG underscore global. These services you can create at your own name as well. So let's say I'm using, it is not necessary that the way it has been given there, you will have the same services name. Let's say I'm using the service name as a the SAP R3800. This is the list agency ID, and the list ID is the foundation academic title, the global data list which I have assigned there. MDG underscore FND underscore academic, put a star. Let's find the data here. So the global data, I have to define the global data here once again. Now the list version ID, again 01 version ID. Fine. So this way I just create one mapping details. Save it. That means under this particular detail, my mapping will be done. Select it. Then next, go to the define value mapping. Here I will define the value mapping. What exactly I will define here? Now, see here. So I have some description, some academic title like doctor, professor, these are all. So I have, what is the internal code I have? These are all internal codes. 001. So again, let's say 002. Then 003 for an example. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is the internal code. Internal code means the code which we maintained in MDG, and this is the external code which is there in the target system. So by that time we will come to know that what is the external code for the target system. So that we will come to know from that particular system owner. We will collect that particular external code for that. Otherwise, I cannot do the mapping. That is the problem. I have to first understand what is my external code. Based on that, I will do that. Okay. So let's say the same I will maintain. So it will be easy to just see here. This data we don't know because it is coming from it is for external system data which did not maintain in this system. So here 003, then 002, whatever you want, means as per your data. It is not as per your choice, it is as per your data. Save it. Here the description is not capturing, but usually what will come respect to this 001, what we have 001. Oh, okay. Because the description is not there. Save it now. Now I can refresh it. Go back. Come again. 1. Let me minus it. Let me try to make the entry again. 001. Let's say 003. Enter. Somehow the description is not, it is not taking the description properly, but it's supposed to take all the description. Anyway, let me, okay.
Aditya, just put plus enter 001 and press enter. It's still not coming out.
Still not coming. Something wrong. Yeah. 003 0002. Whatever it is. Anyway. 7. The description should appear, but somehow it is not appearing. Anyway. Now, so my internal code and external code. This is now linked here. So for what purpose I'm going to use, whether it is an inbound or outbound. See, inbound or outbound. I can define that whether it is for the source system or the target system. That is nothing but for the inbound and outbound. Even though if I will not define, that is not a problem at all. Just keep it like that. Now, what next? Next, I will go to NWBC. Already NWBC open. NWBC. So let's say I will go to, let's say, supplier governance for an example. So here in supplier governance, come down and under the data transfer, we have export master data. Click here. This is nothing but export master data. That means I'm trying to replicating the data. Export the master data. Okay. See here. That is nothing but the file export. However, here in this PDF, whatever the GUI you are seeing, this is the old GUI and this is the new GUI. So that is the difference. Here in you are seeing in 7.0, the one which here it is displaying, it is in 6.1. Now, object type. What is the object type for this? Value mapping. Okay, it is for value mapping. Value mapping. If I want to create any variant for this, at this moment no variant, create and edit a variant. Enter the name. So let's say test underscore value for an example. Now, target directory. What is the target system? That I have to define here. The see, this is the logical file path. What is the target directory which I have to use for this? Let's say this one. And prefix. If that particular file, basically what will happen when I will export it, then one XML file will generate. This export data means what? The object which I have mapped, based on that one XML file will generate. This file will export to the target system. This is the entire idea. Okay, so why XML file? Because if it is a non-SAP system, then it can easily observe the XML file. If it is SAP system, then by using the ALE IDOC, the data will go. Okay. So the target directory and the target system. Let's say some target system I'm inserting. For an example, this is R3810. That is also another system. Put a star. R3811. Okay. This is one system, target system. This is the target directory. Okay. Now the scheduling, where it is export now or schedule it for future export. This is export now. Delta export. These are all information. So what will happen the moment I will click on export data? Immediately one XML file will be generated like this. What is this XML file? We have to first understand what is this XML file contained. This XML file will have the object name. What is this object name? MDG FND academic title code. This is the one. What is this academic title? This is the one. SAP, MDG FND academic title code, the global data name. This is the object name. Okay. Now, under this object name, how many data we have? Like for an example, we have 3 data, like 3, 2, 4. Why this 3 to 4? This is the external code. My data is moving to the external code with external code, because in the target system we will have this external code. So it will fit the data respect to the external code. Okay, so that's what we have, internal code and external code. So respect to internal, this is the value of the data. This is the value of the data. Under the internal code, what we have, that is the value of the data. Like professor, Mr., Miss, this is the value of the data. And this is nothing but the external code. 03, 02, and 04. What you can see exactly here, 03, 02, 04. Respect to the external code. Why respect to external code? Why not internal code? Because when the data, this XML file will go to the target system. In target system, I have based on this external code. So always it will have the external code respect to the data. So when it will go and respect to the data will be updated. This is nothing but the file export. When we export the data respect to the value mapping. Okay. Now, what is import? This is something which we are exporting. Now, the same thing, the same details, we will try to import. Let's say we have one more value. For an example, just I want to add one more value, 00004. With respect to that, we have one more value I added, or I can keep the same number. That is not a problem. The way it has been explained in the document, I'm also explaining in the same way. So make sure when you will have this reference document, suddenly you can understand that what was the discussion we had. So now what we made, again maintain the academic title, and here now one more day. Now this time I'm doing import. So in step 3 we made export by using file export. Sorry, this is not down. Let's talk it as export. File export, file import, file import, and file export. This is the correct term. Okay, so step 3 we have seen the file export. Now how I will import the file? Import file. Now this time I will receive the XML. For an example, this is my XML data. This is the XML data. What we have, again the object name, because if my object name is wrong, then everything will go wrong. So make sure when I am receiving the data from other system, from other external system, I must the XML format must be in such a way. Okay, why it is XML format? Because there can be external system can be non-SAP system. Okay, so that's what we always go for, external format, sorry, the XML format. This is the object name, and based on the object we have external code like 003, 2, 4, and just to add another flavor, we have also added another code that is 0005, as I have added for 0004, like this. So that means this is one XML which having these are all values, 005, 4, 2, and 3. And this XML, by using the inbound, this XML will receive by this MDG system. So how we will receive this data? Again, we will go to let's say supplier data, then import master data. Click on import master data. Same way, this is nothing but the value mapping. Description, test, and import now. And as usual, if you remember, while we were doing the DIF, same the value mapping and the directory name, the source directory. Rest of the things are like DIF. How you will define the source directory? The way we define in DIF. Same way, you will have the source directory details. So that means your data will come and sit here in this directory, and you will import the data. So the XML which already present in your system, that will process, and based on that you will have the data update with this XML. This is nothing but the file import. Previously, the entire GUI was different. Now the entire GUI is different. So let's not compare these two things, but the the data maintenance, the fields are same, whatever it was. So object type is value mapping, and this is the one. That means respect to the value mapping, whatever the object type we have, that details I'm trying to load here. That is nothing but the value mapping. Now you back to the material governance. Now it will be easy for you to relate. Go to import master data. If you remember, while I was talking about the importing DIF, so here, which one I will select? For material, value mapping, I was selecting the material for material basic information. For value mapping, this is the one. Test. Now click on add. See, value mapping. So same way in material governance also we can add the value mapping details. Similarly, we will have a source directory, this one. That means if I talk about the import manager or the data import framework, value mapping is just one add-on. DIF, as usual, whatever the steps we discussed, it will have the same steps. So my customer says, along with the material information, I want to also load might be some value mapping details. Respect to some value mapping object type, whatever the details we have, those data also I will load it here. That time I will create another object type for value mapping. Okay. Similarly, we have to see for, so the step number 5 is, yeah. So we have seen for material, supplier, similarly for customer, same way. So what I was talking about now, key mapping.
Aditya, can I ask you quickly a question about value mapping before we go to the queue? Can you just go back to the mapping table where the source value, target value, not this one, the MDG, IMG. Okay. So do you know what is the table behind this screen? Because what I understand is, based on the example what you shown, this is more of a reference data, for example, material type. Now, let's say that, okay, we have 500 or 1000 material type, then we may not be doing, entering all those things here. We can just load from a file.
Exactly.
Okay? So do you know what is the table behind this? One of my previous project, we had a scenario, and they loaded the data. So I'm just curious, what is the table?
I think the answer is already given here.
Okay.
If you go by this thread, that's what I opened those threads. One of the threads, I think I have seen exactly what you are asking, the relevant table for this.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. We will figure it out.
Yeah, you just go through it. Might be you will get that table details.
Yeah. So my other question is regarding the UI. What is the file import and file export? That is data loading into MDG and data going out of MDG. So in a typical project, I'm not sure this is what everybody is using. Okay, we may not do this manually. So assume that we are using any ETL tool, for example, data services or something, then we may not come into this screen. We have to, use any of the integration, tools like PI or HANA, type of stuff. So we may not come to this screen. That is, I may be wrong, but I'm just wondering. Okay, so
but Yeah, maybe what you are saying, but however, I'm not quite sure if you are using even HANA. My take on this, like if I have a backend HANA, and if I let's say export master data,
Mhm.
so what is the problem if I will go with this approach? That
This is
really,
this is
yeah.
just the reference data, right? That is what I understand. Okay, so take an
Yeah, this
example.
is reference data. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. This is reference data, but the object type which I'm calling, because here everything is based on the object type, right? So my object type, and based on that, what I'm calling, this is the data which I'm trying to replicate. Whether it is a address data or material data or customer data, simply I'm replicating some piece of data by using this. So that is my understanding, but what you are looking for, I'm really not sure. Or like maybe you are right from the broader perspective, but haven't gone through that.
Yeah, yeah. So for example, the one what you mentioned here is basically this is a translation. Okay, source this is the code 001. Then the target it is 01. Okay, so
Yes.
that's the translation table. That is what it is working here. Now, if we are using export and import, basically what we have is just the reference data, the source and target. But in an actual MDG scenario, for example, when you create a material master, that's a material master relevant data is there. Along with this reference data, material type also should be there. So when we integrate with the target system, we have to send the reference data, the translation data, as well as the master data. I'm just guessing. So
Mm-hmm.
so
Okay.
yeah, that is fine. So I have a pretty good understanding the value mapping now it works.
Okay.
Okay, so okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me now start with the key mapping. Similarly, here is some information related to the key mapping. So if you see, you can use this function to create the mapping in between the object instance by connecting their object IDs. A similar kind of thing, but here the mapping is happening based on the attribute between the attribute. So what is called key? Key means like primary key. If I say, what is if I have, for an example, two table, if I use the foreign key relationship. Yeah. So let's say if I have any foreign key relationship, let's say I have a table 1 and I have table 2, and this is one more table. So now I have name, I have roll number, I have class. Similarly, I have here roll number, section, and winner. So this is the two table where we have one certain attribute which will use to connect both of the tables. This is nothing but the primary and secondary key approach by using the foreign key. So this is nothing but this type of relationship, we call it as a foreign key relationship, right? So exactly same thing we are talking about in a different way. That is when we have a certain attribute, and that attribute is also present in this system, in uh, in MDG system, and is in target system. So for an example, let's say in MDG I have one field called Z field 1. The same field, exactly the same field I have here in the name of Z field 2. how my system will identify that this field, this attribute is nothing but this attribute. So that means if I will replicate the data from MDG to target system, if my system will not able to understand if this field is nothing but in this system this field, immediately the IDOC will fail. So we have to be in sync that this field is nothing but this one. Now usually how we do that? Usually we do by using in target system we have inbound function module. In inbound function module we define that respect to the segment, this is the attribute, this attribute is nothing but this attribute. This way programmatically we handle this. The same thing we can also do with the key mapping, nothing more than that. So in key mapping in business process with several systems, each object instance require one or more object ID to ensure it can be identified and mapped to the other object instance. During the data replication, the object instance is replicated from the central system to one or more target systems. In process, each system can use its own logic or to create object ID. So the same thing, like when my data is replicating from MDG to target system, so if I have key mapping, basically key mapping is happening based on some object ID. So you probably heard about this terminology, object ID. So we use the object IDs. So this based on the object ID we identify, like we have a code here. The code is nothing but it is the intermediate terminology for both of the systems. Similarly, we have something called object ID. Object ID. So by using this object ID, we will identify this field is nothing but this field. Okay. This is nothing but the key mapping. So similarly, let's see some more detail here. So create editing and deletion of the mapping. This is the application, WebDynPro application for create, edit and delete mapping. Now, so go to same way, supplier governance, create and edit key mapping. See. So as I'm in supplier governance, we have business object type, business partner, for an example, or go for supplier. Then business system. Where we use business system, if you remember, while we were doing the data replication, here, business system. See, let me show you the navigation that will remind you quickly. Data replication, define custom setting for, define technical settings and define technical settings for business system. This is the one. Here we define that various kind of business systems. Okay, so those only basically here, as it is a test system or it is a demo system, that's what so many business systems we have. Basically we will not have so many business systems, hardly one or two business systems we have, because the target system will be like one or maximum two, like this kind of target systems. So like whatever the business systems you have, you need to define those business systems. Okay, so the same concept in the replication, how we assign the business systems and other steps for that, same it will go. And now go back. Okay, business system, select here. So you have to select the appropriate business system, whatever the business system you would like to replicate. Let's say 810 or 811, whatever. Now, object ID. Here is the object ID which you have to create for vendor data or the customer data. So, what is the object ID? You have to provide the object ID for supplier. So the supplier object ID you have to give like 266 is the object ID, and then show add row. See here in add row, the moment you click on add row, automatically the system details will be added. This is the system ID. This is the business object type. This is supplier and the object ID, that is BO type. Okay. Now this one we have to save because this is the key mapping for this. Let's say here we have to give the source system details. Here it is, 266. Okay, so first we need to create one key mapping. So respect to this key mapping, I will now replicate the data. So this is my system where I'm trying to send the data. Try to remove this and save it. Okay, fine. Only I will keep the target system detail. Now come to the supplier governance, and here go for data replication, the normal data replication process, replication model. So here replication model for, we don't have any specific replication model, so that's what only we maintained for material. That's what respect to R3811, only the material one is maintained here. Similarly, we have to maintain here for supplier details. Then only the material respect to supplier, the details will be appeared here. Okay, so here so the moment we select the replication model, the respective system ID will appear. How the system ID is taking from here. This is the respective system ID which is associated with material. Similarly, for a supplier, whatever the business systems I will assign here, the same system details will be selected in the target system. And this is the business object. Okay, so now we can replicate the data. Replication by the replication model. So this is the model details which will be used in the replication scenario. Now we need to go to the data replication. Okay, in the data replication we have replication by supplier selection. There is no business object type maintained for supplier. This is the place where we can select the business object type. At this moment, we don't have any supplier. That's why it is not available. First, we need to create the business object type for supplier in the replication scenario in DRF. And then this is the target system. Here you have to provide the material number and replicate. Either you can replicate in such a way, or you can go to search the way I was talking about during the replication. Let's say search supplier. So in the search supplier, you have to provide the supplier name, which supplier you want to search. And then based on that, when the under the result list, the details will come, select it, and there is something called replicate. So you can replicate it manually. This is nothing but the manual replication. But usually what we do the automatic replication. Okay. So we have seen that how we create the, we have created the key mapping. Now, how we can use that key mapping? Come to the governance material. Import master data for an example. Object type, key mapping. Add this key mapping. Because key mapping also can be used for both of the cases. Like here in source system, we have some field called Z field 3. That is also I need to do the key mapping. It is not only for import, it is also for export. So that means the same way in step number 1. What we have done in step number 1? In step number 1, first we create the key mapping. That is by using create and edit mapping. Respect to material. This is the system 194. So add row, delete row, save it. Save. So keep both of the system details. Now, so first create and edit mapping. The first step is create and edit mapping. Edit key mapping. That is the first step. In second step, we have to define the replication model. We have to define the replication model. This is the one, replicate. This is the replication model. This is the system ID, business object. If I'm doing for replication, replication model define. If it is for replication, then step number 3. Now, if it is for import, if it is for import, Then import master data. Select the key mapping. Destination. No, there is no destination detail. So key mapping here. And the source directory. The source directory which you will define for the key mapping. Basically which you will define for DIF. That is the one. So this is how you can add the import the key mapping data. So if you have any certain so basically if you are using the object type material, the XML which you are loading, the same XML you are loading here, only you are adding the key mapping. Key mapping means respect to your target system and your uh, source system, the data will be mapped. That is nothing but the key mapping. So here choose add row the button relevant information. Save it, edit the key mapping data, override the cell, delete key mapping data, choose the delete row. This is nothing but the key mapping. So basically if you see in real-time process, instead of using the key mapping, as I said that we used to write the piece of code in inbound function model. But in between the key mapping and value mapping, majority cases we use the value mapping just to make sure the value replication or value input of any certain attribute. But key mapping, instead of using the key mapping, if we define the same details as we used to define in the inbound function module or the outbound class, that is more than sufficient. Or you can use the key mapping in such a way. Okay, this is nothing but the key mapping steps. So file import process. This is nothing but the key mapping. Fine. Now I will talk about the case study. One case study which majority of the project you will face, that is identify the SLA. Identify the SLA of change request based on the priority. This is one of the very common scenario in nowadays. Majority of the project they go for this kind of requirement. What is this? That is whatever the change request we are creating, that change request based on the priority, how we will identify the whether the SLA has been breached or not. First, in step number one, first we need to define one custom table for SLA identification. Custom table for SLA identification. What are those values we will have here? We will have like change request number, then change request number, then change request description, and SLA result and priority. Let's say these four details we will have in this particular table. change request number, CR description, SLA result, and priority. So basically what I'm trying to do, respect to each and every change request number, I'm going to see whether my SLA will, so what can be the result? Whether the SLA meet or SLA violated. These two approach can be taken here, okay, based on the priority. Now, if you remember in the process model, if I go to MDG IMG and general settings, process model, change request type, and if I go to YMAT01, this is my change request type, and based on change request type, this is the entity type, and based on this is the business activity, and also we have something called service level agreement, SLA. If you remember, that time I was talking about that nowadays none of the customer will go for this kind of approach, that based on priority, whatever the change request we have related to this change request type, identify the SLA. If you go this approach, it is very difficult to do the actual calculation, because let's say your change request has started, your change request has been placed on Friday, let's say 5 p.m. and your working time is 6 p.m. till 6 p.m. you work. That means, let's say if my, for this particular change request, if the priority is 1, then for an example, based on my customer, let's say it is 1 business day. 1 business day. I have to solve this issue. So that means I have only 1 hour here, and Saturday, Sunday is off. So definitely my clock should not tick on Saturday, Sunday. And then again, the clock will start from Monday 9 a.m. Okay. This is how I have to calculate. So 1 business day is nothing but 8 business hour. Okay. So that means my activity has to be completed, my change request has to be completed within this 8 business hour. If within 8 business hour the change request completed and all the level approved, then I can say it is SLA meet, or I can say it is SLA violate. So this calculation, if you go by this approach, it will also count, let's say it having the day wise it will count, or hour wise it will count. It will also count Saturday, Sunday including. But this should not be the case. You have to exclude the Saturday, Sunday, and you have to only calculate the working hours, not beyond that. So this is the reason we have to take this scenario separately. So step number 1, we have to first create the custom table where we will have these are all fields. That means the final data which I will collect, I will put it in this particular table respect to each and every change request number. Then step number 2. The step number 2 is create one executable program. Create one executable program which will read the change request. What exactly read the change request? It will, and how we will read the change request. Now let me go to USMD 120C table. So this is the table if I go here, execute, let's say this is one information. This is one change request type. This is the material change request number. Okay. Now, this is the type of change request. This is the status. This is the description of the change request, and this is the what time the change request has been created, what time the change request has been changed, and what time the change request has been released. See, this is not a complete change request. So the first condition which I will have in this program, first condition, to check whether the CR is already activated or not. Why I need to check the activated? CR is activated or not. Why? If it is activated, then only that means all the steps has been approved. Then only this change request I will take it in count. Otherwise I cannot use this change request in count. Otherwise this change request is still not there. So straight away I will say if the change request activation is equals to null or not check, or it is above false, then that means if what is this value, data of change request activated, this one, if USMD data underscore active is above false, okay, that means if it is null, then what will happen? Then straight away it will modify the table, modify the database table with CR number, because based on the CR number it will read the data. CR change request number is a primary key here. So CR number as SLA violated. Straight away it will say it is SLA violated. It will not do any further calculation because it is not completed at all. Okay, yes, one more thing. It is not completed, but we have to check whether it is based on the which date it has been started. Now there are two phases. One is if you want to only calculate the completed change request, and another requirement can be you want to calculate along with the completed one also the in progress one. Like this is the change request which is in progress change request. Okay, so this change request whether I will consider or not, that I have to decide. Fine. So here what you will do, so this is only valid. So what modification I can say, so to check whether the change request is activated or not, if it is not activated, fine, that means it is in progress. So case one, in case one what I said, only count the completed change request. If it is case one, straight away it will remove from here. That means it will not count. So those change request, if it is this one, then immediately it will come out from here. So it will be commit from there. It will not count this particular change request. But case 2, I want to count all, including the progress one, including the in progress one. Then what I have to do? Same thing will happen. Along with that, I have to read the CR priority and CR creation timestamp. Now, here is another story. This is the timestamp. From timestamp, you cannot calculate. What you need to do, from timestamp, you have to separate the time and date. So it is including the time and date together. If you want to do any mathematics here, you cannot do the mathematics by using this timestamp. Otherwise, it will be absolutely wrong mathematics. What you need to do, you need to use the function module. The function module name, everything I will provide. The function module. The function module which will convert the timestamp to date and time separately. That is the function module which we have. So I will provide you the function module name, but if you go to SE37 and just write in such a way like convert timestamp. If you just give this information, you will have the appropriate function module which will convert the timestamp. So let's say convert on to timestamp. This is exactly ulta, timestamp to string. Let's say I will provide you, however, the exact function module name. If I, at least for the execution purpose, if I see so this way we have to identify which one we can take. Stand here. This one, if I execute, see, date and time. So this is one of the function module which will be used to identify from the timestamp to date and time. So this function module we have, because otherwise you cannot do the calculation. By using only the timestamp, you cannot do the calculation. First you need to convert. So convert the timestamp to date and time separately by using some such function module. So now which are those details you need to collect? You need to collect CR creation time and what is the CR change time, because in this case I'm using it is not completed, it is incomplete or in progress case. So what is the last change? This is the one, the last change, or this one. Okay, this is the one. So if I copy this, again this one also have to be converted. So this timestamp or this time you have to capture one into, you have to take the work area. In work area, one work area you have to capture the date, and another work area you have to capture the time. Similarly, this timestamp you have to see, this is the one. Now you have to minus this, you have to minus this time. When you will minus this time, you will see the difference of the time, and then you will also have the priority. So based on priority, again you will have one check, like if the priority is 1, then 8 hours, if priority is 2, then 10 hours, like this. So then you have to do the calculation, the simple calculation you have to do, that is last time, last modification of CR time and date minus create CR time and date. When you will do the minus, you will see the difference, you will see the difference. Okay, so now based on priority, check whether it cross the time or not. If it is cross, then update the custom table which you have created in the first step. This custom table as it is. If it is SAP the SLA violet, then say SLA violet, or modify as a SLA meet. Like it is still in progress, still not completed, but still the SLA is not violet, as it is. This is how we have to do the entire calculation if it is in progress. If it is not, if it is not at all taking in count, then directly it will commit from it. If it is taking in count, then we have to count such a way. Now next step is, so here now I will identify how to, whatever the completed change request. Now I will see one complete change request. How I will see the complete change request? I will go to USMD 120C, and let's say this is one. No, this is also incomplete. Yeah, this is one complete change request. How I will come to know? Because my data of change request is checked here, activated here. That is what I can say it is a completed one. So completed CR, if I can see that the USMD is above true, USMD data active is above true. If it is above true, that means I can say this change request is complete. Now what? The same scenario. If it is completed, then again I will do the same steps. Okay. So first we need to read the change request priority and CR creation timestamp. Then again use the function module. Based on that, define the date and time. Then change request release time, not change time. Release time, because this is the case where the change request has been completed. This is the one, release time. So we have to capture the release time. If it is in progress, we have to take the change time. If it is release, then we have to take the release time. This is the final release time. Okay. And then we need to do the calculation. So the not last modification here, release of change request time and date minus create change request time. What is the difference? And based on the priority, whether it is cross the time or not, then update the custom table as it is. This is how we can identify the entire SLA respect to each and every change request and update in the particular table. So this is the case study which I wanted to share with you, because this kind of requirement nowadays majority of the customers are looking for. Why they are looking for? Because in MDG they want to make the transparent process. They want to maintain one transparent process across the level. So that's what these things are happening. And now this executable program you can set as background job, which will run every day like 8 p.m. So after your entire working hour, like 6 p.m. is all max to max 7 p.m. you will have working hour. Then 8 p.m. if that job runs, then entire day whatever the activity has been done, that will be updated the custom table. So this executable program will help. Either you can go for every day, or you can go for weekly, or you go for a bi-weekly or monthly. This way you can do. So based on that, your SLA will be calculated. That will help to your project to do in the annual audit.
So Aditya, one question here. Looks like this is
Yeah.
a reporting, right? How many change requests approved?
Yes. Now I'm coming to that part.
Okay.
So here, so far we have captured this data into the custom table. Now, some of the customers, they will say, okay, that's good. You gave me the data in the custom table, but I want to see the data in BI reporting. In BI reporting, that will be in a very little, fancy manner. I can do some blocks, I can do some graphs, etc. What exactly I need to do here? Now, I will provide one configuration details, the configuration which needs to be done at the BI level. Okay, configuration for MDG, BI and MDG. I can say this configuration is required BI and MDG. Both of the area you need to do this configuration. Just 2 or 3 lines of steps. 2, 3 steps are there. Very simple. So those configuration you have to do. What is that configuration? That configuration will create a link in between MDG and BI. Okay. Now, then what you need to do, you have this table. This is your final table. This table name you have to share with your BI reporting guy. So BI team, BI reporting team. Okay. you have to share this particular table. What they will do, they will try to access this table. They will access this table, and based on that, they will create the BI report. Whether you can create this BI report on UI, BI report on UI, or you can create the BI graphical stuffs, whatever it is required as per the requirement you can do. So only the challenge is you have to do the configuration, that's it. Only you have to give the table name. Your BI team will fetch the data from this table, will extract the data from this table, and they will prepare the report. So that is absolutely BI part. As a MDG consultant, you need not to worry about it. Only you have to do some configuration to link MDG and BI.
So Aditya, what I understand is the BI team, they wanted to show the report in different ways, then they will use this table and the data, they will just do it. Now, my question is, looks like I think, the MDG out of box, there are some SLA reportings are available, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
this is what you are asking for. This is nothing but
In NWB, yeah.
NWBC status report. See here.
Yeah, that processing time, there are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the way I explained, I don't think so it is capturing in such a level the data, because this is not much advanced what we explained here, the calculation part. Because in this calculation, one more thing, in this calculation you will have one more checkpoint. If based on the calendar, because you will pick the calendar here also, if in between the Sunday and Saturday and Sunday is there, that means you need to call the function module. Call the function module. It is not necessary, but it is additional step. You can also calculate the Saturday Sunday. Calculate the Saturday Sunday. So what will happen based on the calendar? If the request comes in between Saturday Sunday, then the Saturday Sunday will be removed. That also you can do in this calculation. So there are a lot of things which you can include here, which is not possible in this standard scenario, which is available in NWBC, that status report or list view or graphical view for change request. It has only the priority and weekly scale and yearly or weekly if you want to see the data, that's it. But not that level, it will help you.
My other question is, right now, when we create a change request, that priority, that field, one for, 1 day, two for 2 days, something, but there is
Yes,
no impact. If the change request is not completed within 1 day,
correct.
there's no impact. So I can give you a business scenario. Some of the clients, they have a very strict deadline to complete a change request. Okay, for example,
Exactly.
4 hours or 1 day. If that within 1 day, if the change request is not completed, then
Okay,
we need to generate an email and send it to the approver. Okay,
great.
there is a item waiting in your inbox. Basically a standard link.
Exactly.
So how do we do that?
How do
And
we, yeah, come back? It is one of the great addition. See, I can do the same thing along with that, because ultimately I'm writing this in an executable program. What I will do, every day my background job is running every day 8 p.m. So once it will check that also you will have an additional, that means you have to enhance. What exactly you need to enhance? Like every day when the background job will run, it will check whether it is SLA violated or SLA meet. The moment if you see if the change request SLA violated, okay, immediately the email will trigger. Email trigger. How the email will trigger? Whatever the email notification piece of code we discussed, you remember the email notification code while we were doing the email notification body, which is one of the service body, the same email notification code you have to mail here. You have to write here. So
Yeah,
what
that's
will
right.
happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
So
So basically,
that
what we need to have is we have that table data is already there. We have to write a ABAP program to just to read that, and if it
yeah,
is violated, just trigger this email notification.
email notification, the same piece of code you can trigger.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So this
One
is
more question is,
hmm,
I'm sorry, Aditya.
yeah.
The NWBC, that screen is developed on WebDin Pro, or?
This is all you are seeing here. Everything is backend WebDin Pro. Everything is backend WebDin Pro, but
This
we
screen,
will use,
yeah.
yeah, this screen absolutely WebDin Pro,
Okay.
because FPM is nothing but it is the baseline is WebDin Pro. On the top of WebDin Pro, FPM is there. On top of FPM, this entire GUI is there. Now slowly the trend is changing. Few customers are moving to Fiori or UI5 like this way. But by default, SAP will provide this floor plan manager and the WebDin Pro. This is uh, the combination they have along with their the enhancement package.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, with this detail, we completed our entire agenda. I can say only this part, this parallel processing, which could not able to execute. The explanation which we already made, the execution is not possible that day. So what I will do, once I will have some time, I will do the recording. I will fix it. I will do the recording again, explain the entire scenario end to end, and I will send that recording to everyone. Okay, fine then. So now if I quickly open the agenda, what exactly we have covered so far. So we have talked about the MDG introduction, and then data model, process model. In data model, there are a few items like customer vendor integration, like mapping and everything, process modeling, UI, workflow, search, duplicate check, data validation and derivation, and data replication. So today we have completed this data replication part with this value mapping and key mapping, and also this portion like body implementation. We have seen that link UI to NWBC, talk about the different type of roles, talk about the customer vendor integration, talk about the general model. So that is also covered in the data model chapter. So this is our entire agenda which we completed today, and there were few questions, so don't hesitate to send the questions, whatever the questions you have. There were a few questions from Pia, and I answered those questions today, and I have also sent the links, and if possible I will ask coordinator to send those links to everyone, so that will be so everyone will get those details. So she had a question related to some replication and some SLA activities. So, sorry, SLD activities, so data replication for finance. So those details I have thoroughly given. So So any questions, anything?
Yeah, so Aditya,
Yeah,
when
go
can
ahead.
when can we meet again? Because there are some other questions as well. So I have actually written. I don't think
Mm,
today will able to
okay.
ask all this.
Basically, today I'm planning to end officially. But if you want any one more session to discuss, okay, fine. So next week, as usual, like Monday, we can meet for general discussions, kind of.
Okay.
Okay.
And I have
Yeah.
one question on this key mapping, because what is the
Okay.
association of key mapping with the number range? Because what I have
Association.
understood out of key mapping
Hmm.
is it's basically the attribute level. Like if there is a field in one particular system is understandable by different field name in a other system, in the target system.
Correct.
So that is the
Hmm.
reason we have to do this key mapping.
Hmm.
Am I correct?
Yes, you are absolutely right. Now
So in that case,
coming to answer your question regarding the number range. First of all, the key mapping is happening based on the attribute level. Okay, whether this attribute, like in my system, let's say Z field 3, Z field 3 is a source system attribute. Whether this particular name, the name of the attribute is equal to this particular MDG system uh, attribute name. Okay, whether to match that name, to map that name, that is nothing but the key mapping. Now to answer your question, what is the relation with the number range? Number range will go as it is. It will not touch with the number range, because ultimately my material number is generating based on the system number range whatever we define. It is not uh, uh, interacting with key mapping. Key mapping which I'm doing, just mapping the field, like this, identifying the fields. This field here in source is nothing but this field here in MDG, just to identify. So number range will go whatever the source system number range we have. Similarly, number range whatever we have in MDG system, whatever we have in target system. Okay.
Aditya, I have, this is Jose. I have a few questions sent out maybe a week or two back. So,
Okay.
next,
I think the best thing will be, let's not meet on Monday. Let's meet on next Friday. Okay. So by that time you will have some lump sum questions. You will have some time. Okay. So next Friday we can meet, but officially I'm closing here. But as you have some more questions, so what we will do, next Friday we will meet the same time, and we will only discuss with the scenarios, with something which you will want to understand again, that I will repeat one more time for you. And if possible, then by that time I will be ready with the parallel scenario. Then I will also show you the execution for a parallel case. Okay.
okay. So regarding the finance, you mentioned few minutes back, the other
Yeah.
person. So the finance, the replication, because the finance, even after approval, the data is
Yes.
still staying in the staging area. While reading, I understand that the same client replication is there. That is one method. And what is the other method? If you already answered this scenario to the other person, then
Mhm.
you can forward that email. That should be enough.
I will. I will. I will ask coordinator to send across,
So the
so
typical
everyone will.
approach for finance is the same client replication, or
Uh, First of all, uh, in finance, the best approach will be go with the SOA architecture. The point number one, okay, not to use the ALE approach. That is one thing, because SOA approach is the best approach for finance. Now, even though if you are using the ALE IDOC approach to replicate the data, remember that the data is replicating, like we have a cost center, we have a cost element, we have profit center, each and every data having based on each and every entity type. So Each entity type data will replicate from MDG to target system. It is not like material. It is not like customer or vendor. Their customer, like cost center data will replicate. Then company company details will replicate. Then cost element will replicate. This way we replicate the data from MDG to target system. Now you said whether it is a single client or multiple client. I can replicate the data to one or more than one client. That is not a problem at all. But the point which you made, that is already you mentioned, again I am repeating, that is only I can only replicate the standard fields, not the custom fields, because I'm using the flex mode, not the reuse mode. Only the standard field values we will replicate in the finance.
So the business requirement is what I understand from you is from the staging area straight away we can extract this and send it to a target system using SOA approach. Now the business scenario is after approval we have to store back the data to the ECC tables like material. Then we can go for the same client replication, the IDOC or the AILE IDOC
Yes.
or whatever. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I request you
I have a question. Sorry. About this SOA, you said for finance, SOA is the best configuration, but for the same client, how will you do a SOA replication? Is it possible?
Same client. Honestly speaking, madam, I never used SOA. That is my honest confession to everyone. Now, whatever I understand, same system, how we will do SOA, like SOA architecture, how we will make. When you have a cross client, then only you can make it.
That's what. No, that is not possible, right? You need to have a target system for SOA to function, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
But again, I'm requesting you cross-check this, because I practically never use SOA architecture. So might be I'm wrong. So please cross-check this point. But however, I responded all of your questions, and each and every link which I sent, I request you to go through those links. There are a lot of information you will get there. Okay. However, I haven't used, but those links I have. I personally those links, and I have little bit information from there, and those are very important points if you are going to use that.
Yeah. And one more question is, normally we use only the source systems, right? Can we use files for data imports? For example, if I'm doing consolidation systems, can I use files to do an?
Basically, you will send the files, right? If you are using the SOA architecture, you will send the data in terms of files.
So no, you'll configure the systems to send it in. Now I'm asking you the source. If in SOA for replication we need target. I'm asking for some, for example, a consolidation which requires multiple source systems. Instead of source systems, can we go for files, Excel files, CSV files? Do you have any such documentation where instead of systems I can use files or to do the consolidation part?
Can you please? I don't have answer at this moment, but at least I can look for this answer. So just let me understand, like, what is your question? Just help me to understand your question.
Now the question is currently how we are taking the data, we are configuring the business systems, right? From the source and the destination. Our source is our MDG, and we are doing replication, we are replicating to target systems. Similar way for import, you are having the files, and for a file is a source where you will upload it, and then you will doing an import. I'm saying instead of all these things, your consolidation concept is you will have systems, system to system you will consolidate, right? You will take one system, you take the data on, you will consolidate. Instead of a system, I'm asking, can we go for any files consolidation, multiple files? I'll do a consolidation and I'll do a replication.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have an answer at this moment, but I can check for you.
Okay. I
Okay,
will
so
also check.
Aditya, I have a confusion. Like, what do you mean by this consolidation? Sorry to ask very simple question.
Priya, can you please make him understand? He's asking you actually.
Yeah. This is just maybe I can shed some light. Okay, Priya, I think what you are asking is this: when you talk about consolidation, okay, uh, the standard approach is you can use any ETL tool. You extract the data. If you want to implement some data quality, then that ETL tool can load data into your core ECC tables. Okay, that is one approach. That is a standard approach wherever the projects I worked. Now, when you talk about consolidation, 8.0 always there is a consolidation capabilities there. If you're talking about that, that's a different one. Now, for example, you got an SAP system, you got a CRM system or legacy system, multiple source systems. Your approach is as a part of the initial load, the master data will be extracted, cleansed, then maybe implementing some data standards, then load into the MDG, that is nothing but the ECC. Different ways we can do. You can load the data and you can trigger a change request, then a data steward or whoever it is, they can approve it, then it will be stored back into the core ECC tables, one approach. Otherwise, using an LSMW, you can get your data, you can load into the core ECC tables, then any modification, anything, we can use the user front-end UI and you can do that. This is what you're asking?
Okay, so my question is, we have one system which is of MDG. We are not using the customer, we are not using the governance for the customer, but what we are doing is we have all the several 3 or 4 sources where they create their own masters. We are bringing it to MDG box. We are bringing all the customer masters to MDG box, and they are saying that it is a consolidation approach. But I didn't. But they don't use the. They don't create MDE customers in MDG. So the governance part is missing, but they only bring from other sources to MDG box, and I don't know what they do next.
Yes, you can do that also. If you are using HANA database for SAP MDG, that is already a standardization piece. Everything is built there. You can configure that, and the MDG, instead of MDG IMG, once you enabled all the business function, it is called MDC IMG. There you can have all the standardization configuration, match configuration, all informations are available there. That is basically the inbuilt capability with MDG. That is a consolidation scenario that is available from 8.0 and 9.0. Now, assuming that you are not using that, we are using a standard approach. We have data from different source systems. What we need is we have to bring the data into the MDGs. That is nothing but the core ECC tables. Once it is there, then you can modify that record using the user layer. Okay, then you can modify, you can approve. After approval, it is storing back into the core ECC tables again. From there you can replicate it. So consolidation, there are two ways we can do. One is the inbuilt capability of SAP MDG. Okay, the other approach is the standard ETL piece, which you can use LMSW. You can load data into the ECC tables. This is what I worked in. I worked in some of my projects.
Okay, so bringing all those either by ETL or by our DIF or by inbound or by our standard out of the box in capability. So bringing everything to MDG box, that is what the consolidation, right? Am I correct?
Yes, Aditya, go ahead.
Yeah, Priya, just to answer your question, suddenly it clicked my mind. However, I'm not really sure whether I'm correct or not. You were saying that you want to send the files. Like, can't you use the file upload and the file download approach?
file upload, file download. I mean, from the in the consolidation screens where where we need to configure for the file configurations, because there is only options for the source systems and the business systems are appearing there. Whatever we configure as a business system, that is coming there for the consolidation as a source and target. If we put the files, I'm not sure how to configure a file as a input source.
So let me ask you this: so why you are insisting on file? Okay, you got a source system, CRM system or a legacy system. You got a customer master. Ask them to extract that and put it in a table. That table is available. Use an ETL tool. You can put that data into the table. Now, if you have a file, ETL guys will put that into a table. Then you can load that into the ECC tables of MDG. That's no issue
So
there.
that's an overhead, right? ETL, all those things. Customers saying, I'll just give you a file, you do a consolidation.
ETL piece you cannot avoid. Now, if you are using a file upload, that is just entity specific. Okay, each entity you have to load it using MDG. But ETL you cannot avoid. ETL should be there.
Just check, I found something related to that. Is that the solution which can be done? The data to be consolidated to be loaded from SAP to non-SAP and non-SAP using ETL tool, and that is to solution offered by SAP, that is SLT, data providing tool including the data transformation and the using the CSV file.
Yeah, the CSV file only I need how to do that.
Okay.
Since there is an option given as a CSV, the customer wants it to see how it's working, how the CSV will work.
If you wanted to use a CSV file and load, see, it's already highlighted that file upload process in MDG.
That is DIF. By using DIF.
By using DIF?
The data upload process you can maintain, right?
Yeah, but you need to create one custom table and integrate into your consolidation framework. I'm not sure on that part. Probably there may be some solution, but I'm not aware of how that integration happens. Okay, I loaded into one table now. How that will be integrated into the consolidation source? That part I'm missing.
Let me. So let's say if you load the table, in such case, if possible to trigger one change pointer, then that change pointer will update the other source and the other instances. Can this possible?
Yeah, the source system configuration. That's what the part is. If you trigger a change pointer, it will go and update in your own system, right? Whatever you load in a table, if you will try to update it, it will update it in the own table where now the table will have all the duplicates and other stuff. Before we initiate a change pointer or change completion, this consolidation should be completed, and final activation should happen and should update the main table. So that configuration part, where you will configure the source table or the source file part, that part is what I'm missing.
Priya, I request you, just to give you a little pain, can you just write down in a proper scenario?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I will just discuss with my other colleagues, because I'm also really interested to see the some solution on that, because I'm not really clear about what will be the solution. I will discuss with my colleagues, so might be something will come out. Just give me the detail, like whatever you have. Yeah.
I'll give the consolidation configuration screenshot and I'll tell you where I'm missing and what I need from the configuration.
Yes. Give the entire.
Yeah. Okay.
Aditya, instead of Friday, can we do it next Monday, next to next Monday? Will that be okay?
Yeah,
because
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. So next week, try to collect all the information. Then next Monday we will meet.
So
I'm okay with that.
So if you are doing next to next Monday, can you do it instead of 7:30 India time? Can you do it 8:30?
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
Not 8:30. Let's start by 8 o'clock. Otherwise, few people will have some other.
Okay, yes, 8 will be the
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
8 will
Okay.
be.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Priya.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.